You would have noticed that every deck tech this channel does uses some sort of animated card art for an interesting background effect. What you may not know though is that I actually make these for each video, so I put together a time lapse of that process to show you how it's done. First up is a search for the highest quality image I can find, often the original artist's image if that's available, but sometimes I just have to make do with whatever Scribefall has managed to get. Then it's into Photoshop to start creating layers. Here I'm making a background layer, basically everything I don't intend to animate that will go behind everything I do animate. Next up, I need some drakes for this art, but the ones in the background of the original image are kinda bad. So in this case, I've grabbed some art from Talrand's Invocation, which has a nice big drake in it. Now, this isn't a tutorial, mainly because things are going to go very strange in a moment, but it's more about explaining my process. Now, you ready for this? No, I don't go to After Effects or Premiere or whatever. The next step is to jump into Blender, a 3D modeling tool, and start building the scene. In Blender, I need to trace out every object that will be moving, fill in the shape, and then map the image onto those shapes. As I trace, I work out more bits of the image that I want to animate, so here I decided to separate the coral heart he's holding so it can be animated separately later. Now the whole reason I use Blender is because I'm not an artist. I'm a software developer that just happens to have a lot of random skills, and 3D modeling is one of them. So for me, it just makes sense to use a 3D modeling tool to animate rather than something like After Effects. This is by far the most tedious part of this process, so this might take a bit. Occasionally I switch to a side view. This is where I start layering the image. Everything is slightly built out from the back, so certain parts can go in front of other things. For example, putting the drakes behind Talrand. At this point I decide I want the sea in the foreground to be moving, so once again, trace and map. The original water spray coming up from behind the rock isn't really usable for what I need. So I hacked together a spray-like thing in Photoshop, and use that with an alpha channel instead so it looks right. Now that everything is mapped, it's time to start putting into the camera view. I edit videos at 920 by 1080, but a card art is normally something in the 4:3 ratio, so I have to extend the background and elements to fit within the 16:9 ratio. For animating, I use basic armature rigging. I give the model a bunch of bones and assign the vertices to each bones based on a certain amount of weighting. Then I animate the bones to animate the entire thing. Here you can see the weight painting. Red means it's supposed to have total control, green is about 50% control, and blue is no control. I do this for every bone I've just created. Here's a really derpy looking Talrand with all the bones moved into weird positions. This is a great way to test how the model will move and to pick up any vertices I might have accidentally missed or assigned to the wrong bone. I then do the same for the drakes and the other parts of the image. This can take a while sometimes. Now that everything is rigged, I start animating. As I move the bones, the vertices attached will move with them, and I can make it do all sorts of actions. Once again, this can be a bit of a tedious process, but it's like animating anything at this point, and it just takes a lot of practice to make things look believable. Lastly, I need to go through and make all the materials for each part of the model. Sometimes it's a complex process, especially if I'm doing something really tricky, but for this it's just textures on models, so it's pretty quick. There you have it, an animated Talrand and ready for the video. According to the raw footage, this entire process took about 3 hours to do, which maybe that's a long time, but I feel it's suitable for something like this. If you want to see the video this was made for, check out James's Talrand EDH Deck, or have a look at some of the other videos on this channel that have animated art in them. Let me know in the comments below if there's something in this process you think I could improve, or if you just want further information on how I've done something. Otherwise, thanks for watching.